What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Fargo, Season 4, Episode 6, Camp Elegance. So this one was okay. Definitely some better steps in the right direction, but there are two hangups for me personally. First of all is still the aunt of Ethelrita and her girlfriend. They're all over the place. I mean, first they've been mostly cartoon characters since the first episode, and now all of a sudden in this one they turn into these like master assassins that are going through this house with no problem and taking out all of these mafia guys, and then they're able to sneak up on Gaetano and take him down, no problem. You know what? I don't remember their names now, but the one girl just shoots him in the side of the head, perfectly placed to knock him out without killing him. Did she just do that on accident, or what? Is she just that good and they've not shown us that until this episode? It just feels very odd. It feels like they just have them do whatever is needed for that scene to move the story along. So in this one, they needed them to both be very talented, very good at what they do. So that's what they did. They had them be excellent, I don't know what to call it, but burglars, thieves, whatever, that break into a place and just took down all these guys and managed to capture Gaetano, and now Loy has him. It's what they needed for the story, so now they're capable of doing that. It just feels really weird. The other thing that I did take a little bit of an issue with is what happened at the end. Everything building up to this moment where Josto orders, I think it's Antoon, maybe? I know his name started with an A, but he ordered this guy that worked for him to go out and kill Loy's kid. All of the build up to that, from Loy asking Otis to go get his kid back, and that moment when it seems like maybe he's about to have a shootout with Rabbi, because I'm pretty sure he knows if he's going to take the kid, he's going to have to take out Rabbi to do it. But you have that moment, and then all of a sudden, Josto orders the kid killed, and Rabbi's trying to track him down. It's a lot of good build up, but then you get to that final scene when Antoon is pulling out his gun, and then decides not to do it, and then Rabbi shoots him. I felt like that was kind of a weird decision. Because, I mean, Rabbi, he's still, in my opinion, he's the character that the writers want us to root for. We want to see the kids okay. We want to see the kids safe in the midst of all of these terrible people trying to get control, trying to gain power. They're the ones that are caught up in it and kind of the innocence involved. So Rabbi is kind of the good guy, not really, but he's kind of the guy that you want to root for because he's wanting to help the kids. So that's what they've shown me so far, but this moment makes him seem kind of awful. Because if he had come up and shot, again, I hope it's Antoon, because that's the name I'm sticking with. If he came up and shot him when he had the gun out, but we saw how much the gun was shaking, then it would be kind of like aw, dang. I mean, terrible misunderstanding. He sees Antoon with the gun and he thinks he's going to shoot him. He doesn't realize that he's considering not doing it. But the fact that he waited until Antoon puts the gun back in his pocket and clearly decided not to do it and then shoots him, that's just, you killed the guy for no reason. If you thought that maybe he was going to give you trouble, you could have knocked him out. You could have snuck up on him and bashed him in the back of the head with a gun. But to shoot him and kill him, I mean, that's just, I feel kind of bad for Antoon. He's got all these kids at home and a wife that are now never going to see their husband/father again. So that's, I don't know. It was a weird decision from the writing team, and it takes a little bit of that sympathy away from Rabbi, in my opinion. But outside of all of that, the rest of the stuff, everything that all the moves that Loy is making, all the moves that Josta is making, very interesting. A lot of good backstory for both of them. We see, how Loy is trying to use Otis against Josta, as well as capturing Gaetano and using that against him. Josta is clearly trying to get help from some other, I guess, family members or just other criminals that he knows, but to do so, he needs to make up with his brother, who is now been captured, so he can't do that. There's a lot of interesting moving pieces that I feel like the writers of Fargo, they do know how to do that well. They know how to have all of these different pieces of the puzzle, but they're all kind of shifting and moving in different ways that you expect, okay, well, this is happening here, but then all of a sudden something that happens over here completely negates what just happened here. I don't know, they do a very good job of tying it all together and making it flow, which again is why I feel like that Rabbi scene is a little out of place, because it it's something that I don't think goes in line with his character and what they're trying to do with him. So, but the stuff with Orietta, obviously the director of the hospital gets the letter from Ethelrita, but of course Orietta being the seemingly I don't even know what to call her, but she just seems to be a master manipulator. she I know she's got this really good innocent persona that she puts on, but she also knows exactly what to say to make people question themselves. She's very good at that. She's very good at using her words to convince people of what she's trying to say. So I'm I'm finding her very interesting, and I don't know what's going to happen next with her and Ethelrita. I mean, again, we know Ethelrita left her notebook in that closet, so when she finds it, she's going to know, oh, she was in here. She saw all my trophies. She's the one that sent that letter. Uh, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen there, because will she decide to kill her and her family? I don't. I mean, she already sent that poison over in the apple pie, so I don't know what exactly the plan is there. I guess how that's all going to come to a conclusion, but yeah, she's still a very interesting character. You know, she's the actress playing her is nailing the performance, because it's just this kind of when she's in her element, when she's in her persona of like, oh, I'm so nice, I'm from Minnesota, you know, I'm so happy to be here, and I hope that you know are happy to have me here, and I'm such a good person. When she's in that element, she just seems so nice, so sweet, and just like a normal person. Maybe a little too sweet at times, but she doesn't seem like she could hurt a fly. And then when that flip happens, when the switch flips in her head, and she has something that is setting her off a little bit, like the guy groaning, the look on her face, and just there's this deadness in her eyes that really creeps me out. So she's doing a really good job with it overall. And clearly it looks like she killed the old guy at the end that was groaning this whole episode, so I guess it's another victim on her list. I'm I don't know if she steals stuff from them at the funeral, because they clearly made a point to say she's been going to the funerals as well. So I don't know if that's when she does it, but I'll be curious to see if she ends up going to this guy's funeral, or she just decides, all right, well, I was told not to do that, so I won't do it just so I don't get caught. But again, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with her story, because it feels like her story and Ethelrita's story is a little bit disconnected. I know there's that connection between her and Josta, but we've not really touched on that hardly at all in the past two episodes, I think. So it's really seemingly more focused on what she's doing, killing these people, and Ethelrita trying to get her caught. There's a lot of intrigue there, so I'm looking forward to it. I think that's about it for this episode, though, so on to the next one. I'll see you there. And now, episode 7, Layaway. So, first of all, I do want to address something that I haven't really talked about much, and that is the weird kind of, I guess, undead theme for this season. Because there have been a couple episodes where that has popped up, you know, where there's somebody that's undead just standing around behind Ethelrita. There's the one where the guy climbed out of the tub with Swanee and Zelmar, how do you pronounce it? And then in this one they have, you know, Ethelrita's in the funeral home, and these guys are bringing in these boxes, and all of a sudden the coffin lifts up. I don't understand. Like, I know because in season 2 I think there was the whole thing with like the spaceship, you know, the UFO that comes down and distracts the one guy long enough for Patrick Wilson's character, whose name escapes me, it distracts him long enough for Patrick Wilson's character to kill the guy that was about to kill him. It was kind of weird. It was out of nowhere, and then it was never really talked about again. In season 3, there was that one preacher guy that showed up at the bowling alley and then gave the little kitten to Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character. It was like, hey, here's your boyfriend reincarnated as a cat. I didn't, and then all of a sudden that one guy, the Russian assassin that was after her, he shows up, and the preacher shows him, I guess, all the people he killed, and then we never hear from him again. So I don't know what that was about. Sorry, there's something on the ground that was moving. It was just a piece of paper. But anyways, so now we've got this weird undead thing going on. I don't get it. Because in the first season, there wasn't really anything like that, was there? At least not that I can think of. Maybe there was. I don't know. It seems very odd, and it doesn't really play into anything at the moment. So I've been seeing it, but I haven't been commenting on it because I'm waiting for something to happen, and nothing is. It's just, hey, by the way, we have undead people randomly behind other characters, and they're doing nothing. Oh well. So yeah, it's very very odd. But this one, the few things that I really liked once how they're building up this whole back and forth between these two crime families, doing a really good job of it. Seeing how they're both playing like this mental game of chess with each other. Josta sees the chance to get rid of his brother, who he sees as a threat to him, by using the fact that Satchel got away with Rabbi, using that as like, oh, he's dead, and yeah, Gaetano, you can kill him if you really want to, life for a life or whatever. And I like the fact that Lloyd doesn't just instantly go for it. Like, he's clearly pissed. He's already lost Dr. Senator. He's pissed about that, and now all of a sudden he's being told that his son was killed by the other crime family as well. Same guy that had a hand in Dr. Senator's death. It would be very easy for him, and he had the rope. He was ready to strangle him. But he decides, no, you know what? He's telling me he wants his brother dead. I'm not going to give him what he wants. I'm going to give him the exact opposite. I'm going to let his brother go. I'm going to let his brother still be out there, and let his brother know, by the way, that he wanted him dead. I think that's a brilliant move from Loy's part. So again, just the interesting game of mental chess going on, I feel like is a lot of fun to watch, and it's something that I do think the writers of Fargo are very good at. They're good at having all of these pieces moving around and having these characters that are a bit more clever than they seem at first. Because, I mean, Josta, he seemed like just a sniveling little brat who just did whatever he thought was, made him look more powerful. But clearly he does have a brain that he's using to try to manipulate Loy into essentially playing his cards too early. Whereas Loy seems like he's kind of a hothead who's just, trying to prove himself. But he's showing he's more than that as well by not taking the bait that Justa throws in front of him. So, really fun back and forth. I do still have to say that Chris Rock is still not well cast. And, I mean, it's been throughout most of this season. There have just been so many moments where he's getting angry and it's supposed to seem intimidating, and it's just not because of his voice, unfortunately. And then in this one, we have just an extra little element, which, of course, at this point was not a thing. Because I think this came out in 2020. So this wasn't a thing in 2020 because, what was this, last year? There's that moment whenever the one guy's talking to, what's his name? Oh, crap. He's Happy's cousin, I think, is how he's related and why he's important and why the one guy tells Lloyd to stop hitting him. But he says Dr. Senator's name, and Lloyd, of course, is like, say his name again. Say it. I dare you to say it. Say it. And all I can think is, keep Dr. Senator's name out your fucking mouth. I mean, it's there. And I know that whole incident didn't happen before 2020, so of course they couldn't know that was going to happen and be used as a reference later, but God, that just popped into my head. I'm like, yeah, I would not be surprised if people made that joke. More than likely, if they watched this episode after the incident that happened with Will Smith, I'm willing to bet they made that joke. But anyways, all in all, though, it's a lot of interesting pieces. Some of the pieces I will say are not getting as much attention. Like Ethelrita, we've hardly seen her at all since she sent the letter. Orietta, she made another step forward by killing Dr. Harvard, or seemingly killing him, just so she could get her hands on the letter. And I guess she's going to compare handwriting to somebody else, possibly. Well, I guess once she finds the notebook in her closet, that'll just help her piece it together even more. Like, oh, she was in here and she wrote this letter. Well, there we go. But not much is happening there with Swanee and Zelmere. I mean, they just... Lloyd gives them money and like, hey, get on the train and get out of here or else I'm going to hurt your sister. And that's kind of it. And once again, they're very annoying. They walk into the room and Otis is in there and just, they're acting... It's probably not them. It's probably the direction. They want them to be there's a certain goofiness to some of Fargo's acting style, but they're just I don't know. It's here's goofy, here's cartoonish. They've been up here since the first time they got into the show, and it's just not quite that funny. Unfortunately, it's really kind of awkward most of the time. You know, the way that they're standing there and like, oh yeah, oh really, oh, are you scared? Are you nervous? It's not funny, and it's just weird, and it's very poor direction, in my opinion. So, with all that being said, though, I don't know what's gonna happen next. Still, there was a nice, interesting moment between Defi and Otis as well. Otis is being painted more and more as not necessarily a sympathetic character, but somebody that you kind of feel a little bad for in all of this. Because again, he's just I feel like he's so far deep into all of this crime stuff that he can't get out. He knows if he gets out of it or if he tries to get out of it, he's dead or he's going to end up in jail because they're going to reveal everything he's done. Like he is stuck. And there's so many moments where it seems like he doesn't want to be there. He's very clearly just trying to find a way to survive and get himself out of this situation without too much trouble. And unfortunately, trouble just keeps finding him every single time he tries to make another step. So that little back and forth though between him and Defi was kind of showing he's reaching that breaking point. You know, he was putting up a bit of a show for him before, trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, I'm a good cop, and now that Defi calls him out, he's like, you know what? I'm done trying. I'm done trying to pretend. Just get out of my car. So a very interesting dilemma there for him, and once again showing that while he's not a sympathetic character, it does make you feel kind of bad that he is clearly just stuck between a rock and a hard place. A Chris Rock and a I forget the name of the actor that plays Josto. Damn it. If I could remember his name, maybe I could make a good pun out of it. Anyways, I think that's about it for this episode, though. So on to the final of these three. I'll see you there. And now episode 8, The Nadir. Well, this is definitely the episode where things go from already kind of, you know, like they've been building, and here's your moment of what the hell just happened. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. First of all, I guess we'll focus on Otis, because we get a little bit more background on him in this one. And it's interesting because it seemed like maybe this feels like a bait and switch. You know, I'm willing to bet that Lloyd called him and said, hey, I want you to take care of the girls, and if you have to kill the marshal as well, do that. And he basically only says the part about killing the girls. That's what I'm betting happened. But I do think that this story that he told Defi, probably true. You know, this is probably how he turned into a dirty cop. He felt the power of being a cop, and that was the only thing that kind of made him better. It made all of his twitches and stuff better. But then, because of the risk, that brought the twitches back, so then he pays some guys off, but then all of a sudden now he's lost his power, and it's kind of a never-ending cycle that he found himself in. And I'm willing to bet all of that's very true, but unfortunately, I think a lot of that sympathy goes away once he shoots Defi. Because, I mean, I know part of it is I love Timothy Olyphant as an actor, and I feel like I'm just seeing Raylan Givens, but in Fargo as a Mormon. So I know some of that frustration with Otis killing him is from that. Is my own personal. But I'm willing to bet a lot of people really like Defi, more than likely. So killing him, I feel like, takes away a lot of sympathy, or a lot of that sort of, oh man, you know, you're not the greatest guy, Otis, but I feel kind of bad for you and all this. I think a lot of that feeling goes away once he kills Defi. So yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with Otis, but I feel like that decision right there to kill Defi kind of puts him down. It's almost like Martin Freeman's character in the first season. There was that ounce of sympathy that you had for him throughout like he turns into kind of a jerk throughout the whole season, but there's still that kind of he's dealt with. You look at everything he dealt with through his life, you kind of do feel bad for him a little bit, because this is just a moment where he finally feels like he can take control of his life again after having next to no control of it for so long. There is that little ounce of sympathy, but that sympathy kind of goes away the longer that it goes on, and the more awful things he does to basically to get what he wants. You know, when he sends in his second wife, he sends her in knowing that she's probably going to get killed. That's kind of the moment where I think a lot of people lose that sympathy for him. It's like, you know what, you deserve whatever's coming to you. That's kind of Otis's moment here. That's how I feel. Is you deserve whatever's coming to you now because you had a chance. You could have. I don't know how much of that story he meant. I don't know if he really meant that he wanted to be a good cop again. But if he did mean any little bit of it, all of that chance is now gone. So, but I am glad though. At least one of the two of Zelmari and Swanee are dead. I mean, both of them together is just unbearable. Now, at least, hopefully, Zelmari will be a little bit more of a serious character now that Swanee's dead. I hope. But what else? I guess with Duffy, the moment with him and Loy, you know, where he's trying to get Loy to sell him out. I thought that was a good moment too. Just shows he's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done, even if that means going in and basically threatening this crime boss that he knows is protecting these women. He was willing to do it, and I do think it's a direct quote from season 2, because I can't remember who it is. I think it's Mike Milligan, which there's a part of me, since Rabbi's last name is Milligan, and now he's taking care of this black kid. I'm wondering if Satchel is going to grow up and become Mike Milligan in the, what was it, the 70s or the 80s when that season 2 was going on, or when it was set, I mean. But there was that quote that Mike, I think, said to the officer that was played by, I think, Ted Danson. It basically told him, you know, you Minnesotans, you're not friendly, but it's the way that you're unfriendly. Like, you're doing me a favor. Basically, line for line quotes it, except instead of Minnesotans, now it's Mormons. I don't know why they decided to use that quote again, but it's a funny quote. It's true, too. Like, he does set up this whole thing like, here, let me do you the favor of having you sell me, or sell those girls out to me. It's very funny, but that whole final scene, though, with the cops and the shootout, it was very well set up, and I felt like something bad was going to happen throughout the whole thing. Like, they did a really good job of building up that tension. Maybe a little too long by the end of it, but it was a nice build-up for ultimately what is Otis's big choice that he, in my opinion, chooses wrong. And now Zelmari's out there. She's going to be gunning for him. Probably going to go back to Loy and basically tell him what happened. Or maybe even go to Josto. I don't know. But as far as the crime families are concerned, though, very interesting steps taken here where we see, even though Gaetano comes back and he's clearly pissed and he does knock out Josto, he realizes that Josto, you know, he's very intelligent. He's willing to sell out his own brother because he feels like it'll give him the power. And it's funny because it basically backfires in Loy's face. You know, Loy wanted Gaetano to go and take out Josto because in his mind, Gaetano, he's crazy, but he's also not that smart. So it's easier to take on this, you know, crazy, wild beast of a man because at least you can outthink him. Whereas Josto, he's very clever and he's good at doing little, you know, pinpricks here and there, like nitpick stuff. So it was very interesting. That's what he wanted to do. But then Gaetano has a moment of clarity. Just out of nowhere. It just suddenly becomes an intelligent guy for a moment. And it's really funny that he's basically proud of Josto for trying to get him killed. There's something really funny to me about that, and very ironic that, again, Loy's plan completely backfires. So I'm guessing the guys at the end, because he did say at one point that he was going to use Fargo. So I'm guessing the guys at the end are probably from Fargo, which means now Josto and Gaetano are definitely going to be gunning for Loy since their mom died in this little shootout. So I feel like now we're reaching a point of all-out war where people are just going to start dying in the streets in this whole fiasco. The other thing, we do get a little bit more with Orietta and with Ethelrita. And also Orietta and Josto, they have that moment where he tells her that he loves her. And I don't know if she really is kind of like maybe she's so distant and so socially like, no, I don't want to be around people, that sort of freaked her out. Or it did, but also it's coming from a place of like what she was just told on the phone, finding out that apparently the head guy that she, Dr. Harvard, that she tried to kill, is actually doing okay. I wonder how much of it is that, and she's worried now that he's going to tell everyone that she tried to poison him, and she's worried about getting caught. So it was really hard to tell with her reaction why she reacted that way. I don't know if we'll get a little bit more clarification on a little further down, but of course, this is the moment where she finds out that the doctor's been transferred. She can't get him and kill him before he reveals that she's the one that tried to kill him. So, of course, as she's packing up, this is when she finds the notebook. This is when she compares the handwriting, finds out it's Ethelrita that tried to sell her out to Dr. Harvard. I don't know what's going to happen with that, though. I mean, I knew this moment was coming. There were so many things, Ethelrita leaving her notebook, which I will say, I understand why she did it in a panic when she found the closet. However, the fact that she never once went, hey, wait a minute, where's my notebook? over however many days that it was sitting in there, I feel like at some point she would have realized, oh crap, I left it there, and gone back to look for it. But it seems like she doesn't even care about the notebook. But it's one of those little plot contrivances that are needed so that way Orietta can make the connection. And it's fine. I still don't know what's going to happen with it. It does seem like they're setting up maybe a little bit of a love connection between Ethelrita and Loy's oldest. I think Lemuel is his name. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's got my interest now. I'm obviously have my issues still with a few of the characters, with Zelmare and Sewane. Granted, again, Sewane's dead now, so don't have to worry about that. But overall, I mean, the crime family dilemma and the back and forth, the different moves being made, all very interesting. I think Orietta, even though I feel like they're not giving her quite that much attention, I still find her to be a very intriguing character that I want to find out more about. And ultimately, I'm having a lot more fun. I think the story is set up really well for the final 3 episodes. And I feel that tension building. I feel that moment of people are about to start dying. I think that's coming very, very soon. And that feeling of who's going to be dead by the end of the series, it feels like a lot of people are. I mean, definitely, I would say Loy, Josto, and Gaetano are probably all going to take themselves out. Whether Rabbi makes it through, whether Calamita, will he actually find them and manage to try to take one or both of them out? With Ethelrita and Orietta and Ethelrita's family as well, are they going to survive anything going on? I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of the fun of Fargo. So I'm glad we've reached that point again where I feel like I'm watching a Fargo show, and there's a lot of intriguing build-up that really pulls you in, and you have those characters you're rooting to survive, and then you have those characters you're like, when are they gonna die? So, but all in all, fantastic. Final thing to talk about is just the undead guys showed up a lot more. This one, it felt a little bit more like, I don't know, because Sewane saw the guy, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a death omen then. She's about to die. And even, I mean, Zelmare was like, oh, those sweets are going to be the death of you. So they were like death omens for her. But then Zelmare sees the dead guy as well. And I still don't understand. I don't understand what all that's supposed to be. It feels like it's just very random. We're not getting any explanation. And until now, they've not really impacted the story much at all. They've just sort of been there. And outside of Ethelrita, nobody's really seen what's been going on. So I don't know. It's just kind of odd. And not in the fun Fargo way, kind of more in a you're being confusing with your writing here. But anyways, all that being said, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Fargo reviews, and I'll see you guys at the final review of season 4. Peace out.